This story belongs to a time long ago, when the kingdom of Nuristan was famous for its glory, knowledge, justice, and prosperity. When the first rays of the sun touched the towering minarets of the palace, it looked as if molten gold was flowing across its walls. The ruler of this land, King Jalaluddin Rukunpur, was known as a wise, kind-hearted, and just leader. In his reign, no one slept hungry, and no oppressed person returned without being heard. But as time passed, the king grew old, and one question began to trouble him deeply: who would take over the throne after him? He had a grandson, Timur bin Fira, who from childhood had been stubborn, careless, and somewhat arrogant. The best teachers were appointed to educate him, but Timur showed little interest in knowledge. Instead, he preferred hunting, games, and lavish gatherings in the palace. The people around him were mostly flatterers, who only fueled his pride. The king would often think to himself, if this boy becomes king after me, this kingdom may fall into ruin. One day, the royal court was in session, and the king was listening to the problems of his people. Suddenly, the doors opened, and Timur walked in confidently, dressed in royal attire, his pride clearly visible in his posture. The king smiled gently and said, "Come, Timur. What brings you here today?" Timur bowed slightly, but his tone carried arrogance. "Grandfather, I am not here to ask for anything. I am here to claim what is mine. I am your heir, and it is time I take the throne." A silence fell over the court. The ministers and soldiers looked at each other in shock. The king looked at Timur calmly and replied, "My son, a throne is not earned by blood alone, but by wisdom and justice. A person who does not feel the pain of his people is not worthy of ruling." Timur smirked and said, "Grandfather, those old ideas are outdated. In today's world, power is what truly matters." The king paused for a moment, then smiled slightly. "If you believe you are worthy, I will give you a chance." Timur's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Yes, but only for one day. From sunrise to sunset, you will be the king. You may do whatever you wish. But when the sun sets, I will ask you one question. If you answer it correctly, the throne will be yours forever. If not, you must give up this desire completely." Timur laughed confidently. "That's easy. You'll see, I'll make this a day history will remember." The next morning, as the sun rose, drums echoed through the palace. Voices shouted, "Long live the king!" Timur wore royal clothes, placed the crown upon his head, and looked at himself in the mirror with pride. As he sat on the throne, he declared loudly, "From today there are no rules. Everything will be according to my will." His first order: open the royal treasury and distribute gold among my friends. Soon, celebrations began across the palace and the city. Music, dancing, feasts, everywhere there was excitement. But the wise men in the court looked worried. The prime minister stepped forward gently. "Your Majesty, the treasury belongs to the people." But Timur interrupted, "Not today. Today is mine." Within hours, the treasury began to empty. Then he gave another order: "Arrest everyone who has ever spoken against me." Innocent people were taken away, including his own former teacher. By afternoon, chaos spread across the city. The granaries are on fire. People are hungry. But Timur responded carelessly, "It will be fine tomorrow." At that moment, a poor old man approached and said, "True kingship is not what you gain in a day, but what you refuse to abandon, even for a day justice." These words struck Timur's heart, but he quickly brushed them aside. As evening approached, everything began to change. The celebrations ended. The treasury was empty. His friends disappeared. And the people were angry. Fear crept into Timur's heart. He rushed to his grandfather. The king looked at him and asked calmly, "Tell me, what is kingship?" Timur's eyes filled with tears. "It is not power, it is the responsibility of justice." The king smiled. "Today, you have truly learned." The next day, Timur wore simple clothes and went into the city. He apologized to the people, released the prisoners, compensated the losses, and began serving the public. Time passed, and Timur changed completely. When he finally became king, people called him Timur the Just. And every year he would remember that one day and say, "That was the day I did not gain a throne. I discovered humanity."